Everything is going extremely well.
And now, showtime.
Yeah. That's so fun. I don't know if you can see me in the preview, but like I dance, I clap to the little music and stuff.
That's awesome.
It's good to see you, buddy. So let's let people get to know you, man. What's your name?
It's Kushal, Shah.
And who you with, buddy?
So I have my own agency called Sonic Growth. It's actually just like a one-man show. So it's just me, very small boutique agency, work with about 4 or 5 clients at a time.
Nice. And how much are you spending right now?
So across all accounts, it's probably between like 80 to 100K a day.
Oh,
so yeah, so it's pretty good.
Casual potential
Yeah.
6 figures a day here and there. Just, maybe a meal a week on a busy week. Oh,
Yeah.
Fantastic, buddy. And as somebody that might be just casually dropping 40, 50 mil a year, do you have any tips for somebody? Like, what's the big takeaway for somebody if they want to know how to be better like tomorrow?
Right. I honestly feel like you just got to lean into a lot of the AI stuff that Meta is putting out, especially like we met at the summit last week or 2 weeks ago. You got to like really lean into like all the stuff that Meta is like talking about, like the opportunity score, like consolidation, value optimization, incremental attribution, like things like that. I don't think you can like hack your way anymore like back in the day. So just like, really like trusting Meta and the system more than before, I think.
I love that, man. When you say back in the day, some of us, I think back in the day I think there's like these eras of market when they come in. So what is back in the day for you? Like, when did you get started?
Yeah, no, for me it was actually 2017.
Okay.
So,
gotcha. So you are in the pre-COVID era marketer. So by the time COVID hit, you already had years in the game.
Yeah, exactly. So like, but once COVID hit, it was already like, I was like deep in. So I kind of remember like when, I think it was 2018 and like one of the brand, I was working in-house at a brand in Canada, in Toronto, and we got access to Instagram stories as like a beta to like run ads. And that was like a big thing. But yeah, that time we kind of had, like so many ad sets, like 1%.
Oh yeah, there wasn't even CBO yet.
No, there's nothing. Yeah, no CBO. Like we were like going so like crazy, like syncing like Klaviyo lists of like top spenders and like 1% lookalikes for like all these different segments and like all this stuff. So
the trauma. Like I remember, like I used to break down, I used to have a notebook and I was in-house at a company called 310 Nutrition and we were doing, I don't know, 100, 200,000 a day.
Yeah.
And my morning, I would sit with like this like 30-ounce cold brew, like no ice from Starbucks. And I would just sip on it for the first like hour in the day. And I had this notebook where I had every ad set, every campaign, like the budget, right?
Yeah.
Mark down all the edits that I wanted to do so that I could sum up the total spends at the end of the day to make sure that I was spending the right amount.
Yeah.
The first hour was basically reporting and then marking down all the edits. And then the second page was all the moves. It looked like, you ever see the movie Seven? Like where like it's in the margins in the edge, like it was that. Like I was like putting a head in a box. Like it was a bad situation. I'm so glad we don't have to do that anymore. Like
I know.
And you're talking about leaning into all of this stuff. There's something really interesting when we were in San Jose, and we're gonna have our interview coming out here soon as well. Thanks to Meta for sponsoring me, bringing me out there. That was awesome. And Caleb and Dara Denny and Ben Heath, and they approved your video. They actually they said they really like, for what it's worth, what the machine said about you, my man, was they really enjoyed. You mentioned something specific, and I want to kind of tee you up so you can dive more into it, around value optimization, around profit, and around like I think there was some catalog stuff in there too. There's a few different things in there. And you checked a box for like 3 different teams that were all like, oh, this is good. We got to make sure it doesn't go out right when can happen so that people actually see it. So with that in mind, they don't want us to tell everybody because they're too busy pushing out what's going on in France. So maybe you can tell us right now, and then we'll dive. I think it was super valuable, and I'll let you know. 48 hours after we
Right.
talked, I had that campaign live in my account, and
I
it
know.
went well for Father's Day. So
Yeah.
first off, we did an extra like 50, 100K. Thank you. If you don't mind
Nice.
sharing with other people how they could, as a guy casually dropping six figures, what is working for you there?
No, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. So basically, the tip was to run value optimization with like a target ROAS or ROAS goal, I think it's called now. And basically, the advantage of that is you can kind of add like an inflated budget. So maybe your daily spend is like 5K, but you can actually just create like an extra campaign and set that campaign itself at like 5K. So you're kind of doubling the budget. And then you set the ROAS goal at, I usually started a bit lower than kind of what I want, just to like let the system spend, because obviously you need to put like a 2.5 ROAS, like it just may not like start spending off the bat. But yeah, I kind of put it at like sometimes depending on the brand and the AOV that you have. Like for me, I started, I think at like 1.6. And yeah, we started to kind of see like spend right away. And initially, usually you see like the ROAS come a lot better, which is great. And then the advantage of that is, I think, like we were saying, like if there's an event or some momentum or like a weekend when there's like higher, like more users, it can kind of spend more. It'll spend up to 5K, maybe a bit more. On days that it can't kind of hit that goal, it'll like spend maybe 1,000, 2,000. And then the extra step that I added into that was like using that campaign type and just running like the entire catalog for a brand. So I usually find like the catalog, if you have at least like, over like 100 SKUs, it like works really well. But I've seen it work even if you just use like regular like video static, all of that. But with the catalog specifically, I think it like worked really well.
Yeah, I'll tell you, my experience with that was, first off, I want to address that it's a target ROAS thing, and people know that, like, my opinion on ROAS, but I think we have to talk in the language of the machine, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think target ROAS versus like a cost or a bid cap is two different styles of things, and I think there's something interesting there. And in my experience with it, the larger catalogs was great.
Yeah.
One of the things that I noticed was if I took out, I have a catalog that does not feature hero product.
Right.
And so I have a business that I'm working with where we'll probably do 30 to 50K a day in spend right now.
Yeah.
It's a men's like leather accessories style brand.
Cool.
It's wallets getting into bags and all sorts of stuff. It was funny. My flight home from San Jose, I was on with Sean from Ridge. And like, you remember a year ago, you were like, "You're coming from my spot." I'm like, "Dude, I'm coming." Like, and a while we were chatting it up, and that was always good. But they have a hero product that's like a money clip situation around like $80. Taking that out and just letting the machine have all of the higher end items, right? All of the higher value leather goods, the stuff that's over $100, over $200. And then launching that, what we found was launching that during Father's Day across the entire funnel was great. Right. And then after Father's Day, we've been taking out some of the upper funnel, not all broad, and really running it against something we call broad retargeting.
Oh, cool.
Which is like site traffic, Instagram engagers, stuff like that, where you're going after people not because of like an add to cart or view content, some like premium funnel metric. Because I think if you're adding to cart and abandoning on like 7 websites, first off, you've already probably made the decision you're not going to buy from me, and you're getting smashed by everybody else, and it's like super expensive. But just saying, hey, you've been to my website or you've engaged in my Instagram account, like odds are you may have already added to cart, you may not, but I'm hitting that audience for $20 CPM instead of $50 CPM. And that has been really, really helpful. And I'm always suspicious of ROAS, but I would say the AOVs on that, it was a great way to push higher AOV products in a way that allowed the machine to have if you think of the Venn diagram of the delivery between our hero product and this effort, the overlap got smaller and smaller. So it was really able to kind of do some heavy lifting to overcome objections of value, to get people interested in more bundles, or if they like the brand, but the hero product wasn't the right thing for them, getting them over the finish line there was really strong. So first off, again, Thanks. We got to our Father's Day goal a day and a half early, which is always great. So come actual, like the big rush that everyone was pushing, we just basically killed off all prospecting efforts and just had like an insane like MER day, which made the finance department happy. So whenever I'm not getting spammed at 4:00 in the afternoon on a Friday from the finance department, that's a good day for me. So
exactly, yeah. Because even I think when we were in the breakout room on day 2 in San Jose, like I don't know if you remember, like the guy, I think he was like a product manager or engineer at Meta. Like he talked about like how value optimization works best, like in terms of like having, I think he said like 6 different like value ranges or like price points in your like catalog or like your mix of products, and then the difference between like the smallest to largest price point should be like at least 3x. So I think to your point, like having those bundles and then having like, $80 clip versus like maybe a $200 wallet or something like that really then helps like the system, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that conversation, but I love the details. I forgot those details.
Yeah, no, I had to like write it down in the moment. I was like, dude, these guys like dropping
fantastic. Like I'm still hoping that they send me the recordings because I'm gonna I have a plan to do like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 style, like me just basically doing like DVD commentary of all the presenters from the summit.
Yeah.
But apparently nobody's ever asked them for that stuff before. So I have all the videos. I just need their permission to use them. But yeah, no, I love that because we have some products in the $60 to $85 range, but where that really worked was pushing stuff where it was in the $200 to $250. And getting some of those AOVs in the 250, 300 plus was fantastic, especially in Father's Day, because throughout the year, the majority of the audience for this product is like a quiet luxury brand.
Right.
The majority of the audience is male, but when it was Father's Day, and it was we specifically tried to skew far more into women. And what we found was when it was a woman buying for the man, not the man buying for himself, the propensity to take the bundles and the upsells and the higher value products was just, it was fish in a barrel, man.
Yeah.
Like, because it's not a person buying for themselves doing price evaluation.
No, exactly.
It's somebody trying to take care of a loved one. And when you sell bundles, you're not just selling a product, but you're solving a problem. Right? It's like I had a jewelry business that we work with. It used to be like an Etsy store. Now they do like a mail a month or two on Shopify. I mean, they got to like 50K days on Etsy, and they were like, we have to go to Shopify. I was like, okay, let's do it. What we did on Mother's Day is we paired their signature product was like this hoop earring. And it's like $60 or something. And they also had like printed plates of gold or whatever. And we paired the earring with like a plate, like a necklace thing, and like a jewelry cleaner with like a $50 gift card plus, free shipping, whatever else. So instead of trying to sell one pair of earrings for like $60, we were able to do a like a $40 off Mother's Day bundle where you've got her the gift card, the necklace, the matching earrings, the cleaner for it, the little case that comes with it, like a written note, like. Solving that problem is always, in my opinion, huge, and especially as we're moving into summer, pushing for higher AOVs, I think is so incredibly.
Because also like guys are like cheap in general, so it's like they're not gonna buy. Like, it's always like they buy like one thing and like
like it's versus the woman's just like, I want to take care of this. It was very productive for us, which I think was great. So I'm curious too, like, you're talking about the value optimization and the target ROAS, and they also mentioned some of the incremental attribution stuff. Are you using any of that yet?
Yeah, I started testing it in like one ad account. What I like about that is you can even within the breakdown section, if you're running like regular standard attribution, you can still kind of see like what the incremental attribution looks like for like your existing like BAU campaigns, which is kind of cool. So I was thinking of, before I've been testing it, because sometimes it's like a big change to the account, you can even maybe just like, shift budgets to like the existing campaigns where you can kind of see like better incremental attribution like in platform versus the rest. But I know Meta, like at least one of the reps I was talking to with one of my clients, we have like a managed rep. So she was saying, I guess like technically the best way to do it is like a conversion lift test and a holdout. But I find it's always tough, like when you're running like the day-to-day like account, then to like add in one of those like manage, like, because it's like sometimes, like it's like the client gets stressed because you have to dedicate like maybe 20-30% of the budget. Obviously shit will like affect things. The Shopify sales sometimes goes down, and like in the long run, obviously it's better, but it's always like a delicate balance of like when can you kind of do those like bigger swing tests. So sometimes I just like go rogue and like we'll do like small campaign on the side and like test it, but it's like tough to know then like the next step.
I very much appreciate the going rogue stuff. I do
Yeah.
it's when I work with brands, they know that I'm trying stuff.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
that's
100%.
part of the deal. If you're working with me, 5% of your budget is like Charlie's gonna do weird stuff.
Yeah.
And you have to know I'm gonna be wrong 80% of the time.
Right.
But the other 20 is gonna be like an extra $100,000 in your pocket, right? Yeah, so like the weird stuff I did this last week was taking your tip. Nice. And they were like, well, I guess that pays for Q2's weird stuff. Like, okay, great. You just got to take leverage back.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll say the weird thing that I did last year. And I'm on this like I have a little text group where, I mean, it's not really a group because it's not like a group chat, but there's like McCoy from Portland Leather and Nate from Original Grain, Brian Kano actually from True Classic just got on it. But like I'll randomly DM like these blocks of like what's working right now.
Yeah.
And last year's big win was ASC campaigns to the homepage. Running that during Black Friday. Because what I asked everybody was like, hey, what's your number one converting page?
Right. Yeah.
And everybody's always talking about the products. I'm like, yeah, but what about your homepage? Yeah. And they're like, well, it converts to like 4 or 6%. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. How much traffic are you sending there? Well, 0. I'm like, your best performing products have like a 1.9, maybe a 2.2. Why not send them to a 6? And everybody, the pushback was, well, it's only people like discovering the brand or on search or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, but what if it goes from a 6 to a 3?
Right.
It's already still better. And fun fact, the feedback I got it was funny. The guys from Portland Leather, they were sitting with their rep. And McCoy was like, you see that guy over there? That guy? He's earned my trust because we did what he said. We made an extra $250,000 like a day for a week. And he went to his rep like, that's why we don't test what you say. Because like that guy prints money. You constantly try to ask us for these weird, dollar match tests for $5,000 for like the conversion
exactly.
And stuff.
Yeah. No, I love that. I'm definitely gonna try that. Yeah, I totally forgot about the homepage.
Yeah, dude. Okay, so here's the execution, right?
Yeah.
Here's what we've done, and we've now done it for almost a year, and I've done it across half a dozen brands, and it has been gangbusters for everybody.
Nice.
Take your top spending ads from like the last year.
Yeah.
And it's important that it's the top spending ads because the machine, and I've talked to some of the engineering department, so I've got like my theory, and then I've got backed by data, and so the culmination of all the insight is your top spending ads have the creative that the machine has the most data to know who to show it to.
Right.
So you're getting your best estimated action rate by leveraging the ads that have spent the most. You take those ads, you effectively dupe them, but instead of just using the post ID, run them to the homepage instead of the product. So it might be, you might have ads for 5 or 6 different products. They might all, but as long as that creative is good at getting attention, sending that person to the homepage, and then just running that up. We were doing that with ASC. So because it's in a shopping style campaign, which, I mean, obviously they're consolidating a bit now, but because it's in a more aggressive style campaign, you're not hitting the same inventory as a normal, like lowest cost.
Right.
So the delivery audience overlap is smaller. So you're not winning in one place at the expense of someplace else. Sending people to your homepage also means that you're not running a test that makes like your landing page split tests and CRO efforts. It doesn't tank that because you're already sending traffic to your homepage anyway. and it's not undermining the marketing effort you have on the platform as it is. And because you're using the best creative that has earned the most, the machine has the highest confidence who to send it to. So you're suppressing your CPMs, and you might have a dozen or 2 dozen ads where, because you're using an ASE style over aggressive bidding, you're going to produce ad fatigue, but you have like a ton of content to use. And as soon as one burns out, just bring back an old one. If it's been off for 2 or 3 weeks, odds are it'll work again. And that has been what we've noticed, is the AOVs generally are higher.
Right.
And yes, the conversion rate on the website goes down a little bit, but it's that 6 becomes a 4.5. The 4 becomes a 3.25. But like, it's gangbusters.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah, we found that has also helped the normal business as usual efforts, because it's clearing out some of the lower, like, it's just some of the people that may or may not convert there. It's just addressing a different type of user. So it's cleaning up some of the data. And that's its own 45-minute conversation that I want to get into today. But it's been a very effective.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, love it.
So my man, we've been talking about incremental attribution, and I think that, do you mind explaining your takeaway? Because I'll say this. I think they've done a very poor job at explaining what it is.
Yeah, for sure.
I have a video coming out where I'm giving my opinion of it, but I would love for you to try to explain, how are you talking about incremental attribution to your clients, and how do you think about it?
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you. They haven't really given like too much info. I think what I heard, like the way they explain it is that like Meta, like, I guess the system in the background when you use it is like running holdout tests to then basically prove out that like only the people who are seeing these ads are like converting because of them. I mean, we always know like on the default attribution, like if you're using 7-day click, 1-day view, like there might be like a lot of over attribution. And with a lot of my clients it becomes a lot easier when it's like single channel, when Meta is like the dominant channel, because then you don't really have to worry about, where's like the sales coming from, because we just look at like the Shopify new customer revenue daily as we're kind of, scaling spend. You can see it work, and you can see like the products selling, basically the products that we're running the ads are like the top 10 products in Shopify. So it kind of makes it like clean. But I think it's important for like some of the bigger brands, when you're kind of hitting say you're spending like 20K a day and we're trying to get like 25 or 30, but that extra 5-10K, like we're not seeing any rise in like the Shopify new revenue. Yeah. So we're like, shit, like something's happening, it's like not really reaching new people. The CPMs are really high, like the reach is kind of going down. And like sometimes I look at like the breakdown of like the click-based versus view-based too. And then you see like a lot of spend within ASCs going to like, 1-day view conversions, like how incremental is that? So I feel like in that case, it's like worth finding something that can, like be more incremental. So I'm hoping like Meta's like this new setting will actually help basically drive like net new customers without having to then like do these geo holdout tests, use a third-party platform, like all that stuff. So, and I think it's just a function of scale, because my smaller clients where maybe their revenue is only like 5-10 mil a year, like they're still just like killing it. Like
small clients only doing like 5-10 mil a year. Yeah.
No, I mean it's still good. Like but like sorry, not in spend. Like I mean in revenue. Sorry, Like their spend is low. Like the revenue. I mean they're like just about breaking like 5 mil a year, which I think is like a good. Obviously, like not a small brand. It's like great, but they're for them it's like, dude, we can just like still run like we don't need to get into all of this now. There's still so much runway on just like all the regular stuff. Where I think it's more function for like people who are like hitting that ceiling.
Yeah, I love when we talk about stuff, because I think I think there's a lot of folks out there, I find these inflection points of brands that are like, once you hit 6 figures a month, like that's huge.
Right.
And then the next big point, I think, is about $500,000. So like if a brand can get to 7 figures a year, that's big. And then the like 3 to 5 range is this huge like cliff, right? And then as soon as you cross that, you're in the like 10 to 20 range, and it's just an operation of scale. So that is just making me laugh because like I just get so many chats with these folks that are like trying to use the tactics of brands that are running like $30-50 million.
Crazy, yeah.
And it's like you're not getting 50,000.
Yeah.
Like you have to focus on what's important. And I love that you said that. Now, it was interesting. Ben Heath, Dara Denny, and Caleb Krause, we all kind of did like a little pod, which I'm going to release later on this channel at some time. I just have this huge backlog of stuff, but I'm not like gatekeeping it. I gotta finish editing, and who knows, I might have a video a day for like a week. But we were talking about the incremental attribution, and I think it was Ben. So let me give credit where it's due. Ben said this, that he thinks it's really brave for Facebook to really focus on these incremental pieces, because he brought up a point. You know, I think it was Adobe was said that like, 35% of our sales are not, or 35% of our spend is going to not incremental. The way they describe it is like, so 35 cents of every dollar is going to a sale that we would have made anyway. Like there are brands that are going to see that and then immediately cut their budgets.
For sure. And
I agree with that. And it was interesting. I think it was Dara brought this up. And that, like, they know that there are people advertising everywhere, and that the very few brands are meta only, right? Like, you probably have email, you probably have organic social, you probably have search in place. And I was talking with McCoy from Portland Leather Goods, and he brought up this great point. We were in the airport randomly. I was just like editing a video. And as I do, is sitting in the airport, and I see the guys from Portland Leather walk by, and I'm like, "Hey, we're in the Southwest terminal." Everybody, by the way, fly Southwest. Portland Leather Goods, they're doing like 200 mil a year. Southwest. Sean from Ridge, Southwest. We were on the same day flight home, and it was the cheap one. Just for what it's worth. If anybody wants to know, the G's are on Southwest. Just for what it's worth. Don't fly any American or United flight to Rabo, by the way. If you're ever on a flight with Rabo Rahil, expect delays. That guy's got the worst luck of anybody I've ever seen in my life. Anyway, he's a good friend of mine, and he knows it too. He's just never good on a flight with that guy. I don't know what it is. Anyway, getting back to incrementality. Facebook is aware, like Meta knows that the rise of the adoption of the platform, like they're not going to be getting new users nearly as fast as they used to.
Right.
So the supply isn't growing nearly as fast as the demand is, because advertising dollars go up every single year.
Right.
So demand is outpacing supply, which raises costs. Also, the user base is getting older. Like in general, I mean, I've had a Facebook account for 20 years.
That's crazy.
20 years. Like my Facebook account is old enough to like, you know, like vote, buy a car, drink alcohol. Like it's almost old enough to rent a car in the United States. That's insane. But the point of it is knowing that, you know, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever, Facebook was like the source of truth, and everybody said, oh, Facebook's taking too much credit. And I think it's incredible for them to lean in and say, we know we're not the only place that you're spending money. We know the customer journey is a lot of touch points. All of the shots that they took at like last click attribution. And like if you're still saying that the definition of success is I'm the last touch point in the customer journey, like Facebook is saying, then you are disingenuously looking at the data. That is bad data for us. And so the reason this is all really important is having a way of measuring how much we're aiding other channels. I think is really important for them to know. And I think it was really interesting to see the machine, like how many times did they say incremental? I feel like, you know, they had 3 buzzwords. It was AI, creators, and incremental. That's all I heard.
No, exactly.
And so driving that incrementality, I think, is such a strong point in that basically they know they can't be the only source anymore, and they're not. So instead, they're focused on saying, this is how much of everything else that we're helping. Like maybe your TikTok, or your app loving, or your search or whatever is banging. Now, if you turned this off, it wouldn't make nearly as much money. We know that we're television, basically.
Right.
And I think it was so brave because, I know that I talked to somebody that was watching the summit, and they did an incrementality test, and they were like 20, I think it was like 27.5% was non-incremental. And they're like, let's just cut budgets. And I'm like, that's not what that means.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And so I think it's going to be very interesting to see how they play that over the next year, because a lot of people have been taught to value the wrong data in the wrong way.
Sure.
And I think it's going to be our job to really help people understand, brands and marketers scaling their ads, to understand the value of it all. And with that in mind, I'll just say this, because this was my view of the incremental attribution, was that it's effectively, you have standard and incremental attribution as attribution options. Standard is all sales. Incremental is new customer.
Right.
Like that's the way I'm thinking about it. So you're going to have a customer acquisition campaign.
Right.
That means it's the incremental attribution. The results aren't going to be as good, but what I've seen from, and I'm a big fan of Amers, is the tool that I use. Shout out to G. I don't know if you know Amers, but
I've heard. Yeah, I actually had another client who's on board it, but that's awesome. I need to look into
they're
it
very, very good. Disruptorschool.com/Amers. By the way, I have an ad I could play right now, but I won't. I'm friends with Yichi. I think if you go through there, she knows that you come through me, you'll get taken care of a little bit. So just do that. I think you might get some preferential onboarding, a little bit of nice pricing, and she'll get out of bed on a Saturday to fix the code to make sure that your tracking is on.
Because she was like ex-Meta, right? Like
yeah. You mentioned
her,
Instagram Stories. She built Instagram Stories.
Crazy.
She built the Reddit ads platform.
Yeah.
Awesome. I got rid of everything else. I use them instead of Elevar. Use them instead of Blotout. Like, I just think she has a better mousetrap.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate it. Anyway, what I've noticed is campaigns with incremental attribution, because we are tracking new customer versus returning, because we have a custom conversion events and basically at this point almost standard events around new customers as a column in our Facebook dashboard.
Sweet, yeah.
Incremental attribution is like 85 to 90% new customer. Now, when we do incremental attribution but track just all purchases, the number of conversions that are coming are underreported,
right?
Because it's not reporting basically the non-incremental stuff in the same way. So a CPA of 90, a CPA of 100 is actually kind of a CPA of 90, but it's just the new customer stuff. So the interesting thing is what I'm doing right now, and I think the results I'm getting today are going to be very different than the ones I get next year.
Right.
I with Yichi and Amers have campaigns that are optimized towards new customer. So my conversion event is new customer. I think those campaigns today are beating out the incremental attribution effort, because new customer as a conversion objective at the optimization event is not a standard event.
Right.
So I can't tap into the advanced matching and all of that, 2018 stuff from back in the day, right? But if the incremental attribution begins to work and effectively does the same job, but I can just throw in purchase, I'll be able to effectively optimize for customer acquisition using a standard event.
That's huge.
It's losing head-to-head every single day right now. But I think by this time next year, it'll wildly beat the hack that's currently in place.
Yeah, no, exactly. That makes so much sense. Yeah, for sure.
So the way I'm basically talking to people is the incremental attribution is how much of your money was spent only getting new customers versus acquiring attention of people who are just driving sales.
Yeah.
And so that's the way I've been communicating it, at least. And so far that seems to kind of navigate we're not going to pull back budgets. It's, well, how do we become more incremental?
Yeah. No, exactly.
And inherently what that means, at least in my experience, is more video ads, less focus on CPA, less and less of like somebody that like binged YouTube all over the weekend telling me to run cost caps, and more of just like, let's buy as much attention as possible. And then
No, 100%. Yeah. And like you should see like the new customer revenue or like your MER and stuff like improve, right? Like that's the whole point then. Like the actual Shopify revenue, like new customer revenue needs to go up like with all these efforts, I think.
Yeah. So I think anyway, that's the way I'm talking about it. That's the way I'm looking at it. And I think, I don't know, there's a lot of new things coming. Yeah. And I think it was really exciting. And I'm going to use that to pivot us a little bit to new things coming. Speaking of new things, you're starting a YouTube channel. You have a couple of views coming out, a couple of videos. You're like 300 people. Tell me a bit more about what you're doing there.
For sure. No, thank you. Yeah. So yeah, I'm trying to post at least like one video a week. It's like, I feel like the stuff I'm focusing on is just like kind of what we've been talking about here. It's like a bit more like short form content, a bit more like tactical. So I think it's more for like media buyers who are like executing like in the weeds. So maybe less so for like the brand owners and things like that. But yeah, I think it's just more for like the tactical media buyer, just kind of showing like real results of like, you know, behind the scenes, sharing screenshots, like what I'm seeing working, what's not working, things like that. So yeah, just kind of like what you're doing now, you know, just kind of sharing stuff, but at like a smaller scale.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I love it. Man, you're sharing screenshots, you're talking tactically.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, when you get a decent sized audience, you kind of get sucked into making broader and broader content, which sometimes is less and less actionable. Right. And I'll tell you, the videos that I make that are amazing for the button pusher, it'll get like 500 views. And when I'm like, well, there's this new tool called whatever it is, you know, maybe the thing that I did on Opportunity Score, got 10 times as many views as the thing that was like, here is like a kind of campaign that will increase your overall volume of transactions, even though you're blended. It'll improve your blended CPA, even though it makes your MER look worse. Like nobody cares. So yeah. But how long have you been doing that now?
Since like the start of this year, so about like 5 or 6 months. So yeah. I'll send you. Yeah, I shared it in like the private chat, and I mean.
Okay. What tell me about like what video are you working on there like right now? What's your next? Do you have an idea of what your next video is going to be?
I kind of did one on like a recap of so I beat you to it, like a recap of the Meta Summit. I think the next one, like I've done a lot on like the partnership ad side. Like with creators, which you saw like Meta's like pushing it like crazy. And I think it's still, they don't do like a good job of letting people know like even just how to create like a basic partnership ad. Like a few comments I've got like on some of my videos are like, this is so great, like how do you set it up? Because there's like 3 different ways now on like setting up, but like the code, like the 3 identities, like all this stuff. So there's just like a small nuances where like for new people, I think, who are just like building it, they get confused. So I've been focusing a bit more on that stuff.
I think that's really helpful, man. I really appreciate that. Like, I think it is great for folks to understand the executional side of things. And I unfortunately myself, and it was funny, I was talking to Ben and with Dara, and we get pulled into doing things that get further and further away from like, this is the button, this is like 3 screens and this other selection. So I'm really glad that, there's, somebody doing that work, man. And I think I'll tell you, like doing the video a week, it can be taxing. Like, how are you dealing with that? Are you doing okay? Do you have it planned out? Like it can
it's definitely rough. Yeah. I need to figure that out. It's like, sometimes you get lazy, or like this weekend we had like a couple of plans and I just like dropped off. But I think it's just like I kind of have like a rough plan, but I'm trying to get better at it. I think initially it's just like getting the reps in. So just focusing.
I mean, we were talking about like what Mr. B says, like make 100 videos before.
Sure.
I mean, I'll tell you, man, like when I started, I had like a Facebook group because I got kicked out of hundreds of Facebook groups. Like I'm not allowed in any of the Facebook groups that anybody is in because I was banned from them in like 2016, 2018. Like I have to go to non-English speaking Facebook groups in order to talk about ads on Facebook, which is crazy. But whatever. And so I started my own. I got peer pressured into it by Rabba, actually, from Triple Whale. And at the time, he was for Matt. And at the time, I think he was a media buyer for Whole Foods, and had a yoga client and like a men's like beard care brand that he was running ads for. And I just did a live every Saturday. I went on and I was like, here's a lesson for 15 minutes. I had like this dry erase board that was like, I basically was like, here's the 3 points I'm going to talk on. Like, it was really bad. And it was like, the sun was behind me. It was just, or I was in like a dark room. My hair was really long. Like, it was horrible. But what I learned was, one, consistency really matters, right? I showed up every week, day in, day out for years doing that. And that group got to like 18,000 people. Like, it was huge. And one of the other lessons that I learned from that I hope to give out to the world is the production quality is far less important than the message.
Right.
When the message works and it's good, if the information is valuable. I built my first like $100,000 information and consulting stuff with getting like 300 views on a video.
Right. Wow.
Like, it was, I landed like my first time that I was running ads for folks, and I had 4 brands where my monthly for like my small little agency, where I had 3 to 5 brands spending $10,000 to $15,000 a month as like management fee.
Right.
My videos were getting like 500 views. But it was because the consistency of the videos and the specificity and the value. People found it and then shared it with their friends and shared it with their friends. And like, I think it's so easy to get into the like, oh, my thumbnail has to be amazing and like my title and it needs to get all these views. And it is not about getting a video that goes viral. That's not where you get so much value. And it's interesting. I'll say this here. If we look at the people who were at the summit, it was Ben Heath, Dara Denny, myself, and Caleb Krause that Meta brought in, Mr. Paid Social. Ben is giving entry-level stuff to, like, here's a button. Here's what it means, right? Yeah. Dara is, I think, speaking to people that are, like, way more informed, that are really kind of, like, in the, kind of doing the work and figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
I think you go from Ben, you then kind of escalate into like, well, now Dara is more valuable than Ben was. I think, for what it's worth, I get a lot of folks who found me because Dara mentions it or something else. Like, I think there are these levels, right?
Right.
And Ben is inch deep, mile wide. And then Dara's a little bit more advanced for a slightly smaller audience. I think I'm more advanced than that for an even smaller audience. And then folks like you and Mr. Paid Social that are getting very specific about individual tools and all of that. Your audiences are a lot smaller, but they're way more advanced. The information you're giving is way more tactical and valuable. And so just don't worry about, that's just my big piece of advice and insight.
Yeah.
And I think
I love it. Yeah.
That's matters, man. That's the number one thing. And I'll leave it with this. Get a good microphone.
Right.
People will watch terrible audio if it sounds good.
Right.
But the greatest camera in the world with unlistenable audio means you'll never get a view.
Yeah. Smart. That makes sense.
So I've got an era of microphones that I had. It was the first, like, the laptop mic. And then, it was, anyway. I think I've got one on my wall over here. I think I've got a Rode over there, but now I've got the, like, this guy,
the proper one.
A proper thing. So anyway, with that being said, man, I really appreciate your time, and I really liked how you thought about stuff, and it was great to get to meet you. And I'm excited for your path and growing on YouTube and trying to get more attention there, and just really helping people out. And as someone that sometimes gets too caught up in big swings, it's really exciting to see people talk about the hand-to-hand combat that really, really matters.
Yeah.
And with that being said, man, just I want to I always like to just leave things with like, let me give you a chance to just, if there's any piece of advice or any tip that you have for people. I think we already talked about a lot of things, but if there's any actionable thing that you didn't get a chance to say, that's sort of like a cheat code that you're leveraging, whatever it is, and then also how people can find you, just let me give you the last word here, so that like it's just the best chance for you to get as much out of this and for everybody watching to like just be better tomorrow. And also, if they like what you had to say, make sure that this isn't the only time they hear you.
For sure. No, see, I really appreciate you like having me on this channel. It's awesome that, you're kind of featuring like some of the smaller like operators and like, agencies like media buyers, stuff like that. But yeah, in terms of just like another takeaway, I think like the partnership ad stuff, which we didn't really get into, but I think that's like, I know Meta's been pushing it for like a while, but I feel like they're really doubling down on it. And I've been seeing it work really well. So I think especially if you're a brand and you're a founder, like you should just be running like founder ads like from your own handle. I feel like that's like the easiest place to start. I'm definitely seeing it like outperform like regular ads. So that's just like a quick tip I would implement like right away. And then you can find me, like I think I shared my YouTube channel with you. I'm not super active on Twitter, but I'll send you my Twitter handle too. But in terms of like working with other clients, like for me, I think the sweet spot is usually kind of like women's focused, like fashion, lifestyle brands. Like those are kind of most of my clients. So it'd be awesome to connect with, anyone else who's kind of in that space that's, looking to grow, looking for advice, like always just happy to chat or like do an audit for fun. So
there it is.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Sonic growth, D2C. Love it, man. There it is. Awesome. Well, man, let me get rid of this background. What's going on here? There we go. Okay. Man, thank you so much. It's Sonic Growth, at Sonic Growth on YouTube. I think it's at Sonic Growth on Twitter too.
Yeah.
It's just you. So Kushal, man, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I hope you're the best. And again, hey, thanks for the tip. An extra $100,000. I think it was, we're going to net out. It'll be in the mid 60s. So hey, it was a $60,000 win. Thanks for 5 seconds of your time, because that was a good return. And our interviews, the thing we did will be coming out, I think at the beginning of the month. Okay, but how about this? One thing we can do could be fun, as let's run it as a partnership ad between my account and your account and just run it up. And then maybe we could even say like, this is how we do it.
Yeah.
And it could be like a little collab on getting things done. And,
dude, that's awesome.
I'll drop some dollars behind it.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, buddy. Well, take care. And I'll see you later, man.
Take care. Thanks. Bye.